If you could only eat one last meal before you died, what would it be? Death row inmate John Martin Scripps chose a pizza and a cup of hot chocolate. This is Death Row Diner. Okay, so we're gonna start the night before and make the dough, because it's gonna need all night to rest. We're gonna be using a stand mixer, because I have one, and if you got it, you might as well use it. If you don't have one, you can just stir it. That's pretty much all a stand mixer does anyway. So once again, this recipe is also going to be taken from J. Kenji Lopez Alt. In this case, it's his foolproof pan pizza recipe, which is great. And it's all based on percentages. So however much flour you add, you want to add 60 to 65% water, 2.5 to 3% salt, 0.5% yeast, and a splash of olive oil. And this is all by weight, by the way, not cup sizes. That's really important. It's not the size of the cup, it's the weight of the thing you're hauling around. So we're going to be using a 12-inch cast iron pan for this. So weight-wise, we're looking at 400 grams of flour, 10 grams of salt. Ooh, whoa, that was way too much salt. That's about double the salt I was supposed to add. Let's see if I can scoop it out here. Nope, that's not gonna work. Well, you know, like bread doughs and stuff like that hardly have any salt in them anyway, so twice as much as you're supposed to put in is probably not gonna make a difference, right? Kenji did say this recipe was foolproof, so let's just see how big a fool it can tolerate. Anyway, back to it. 2 grams of yeast, and then we're going to add in the water, about 250 grams of water. Again, you could just stir this, but if you've got a stand mixer with a dough hook attachment, might as well use it. We'll mix it together until it's a solid, cohesive dough wad and there's no dry spots remaining. Smash it around a bit and make sure it's all fully incorporated. Then make sure to tuck it in, nice and tight, don't let the bed bugs bite, and wish it sweet dreams till tomorrow. Then go to bed, and remember you forgot to add the olive oil. Oh well, it's foolproof, right? The next day, you'll see that he has risen, so wet your fingers and give it the old stretch and fold, one on each side, and squish it back down again. And do this every couple hours or so. It's kind of a way of kneading it without actually kneading it. You'll find each time you do it, it gets smoother and smoother. Alrighty, this wouldn't be a pan pizza without a pan, so we got a big old cast iron pan here, 12 inches. An hour or so before you cook it, maybe even longer in hindsight, you want to take it out, cover the bottom with a generous layer of olive oil. Then on a floured surface, we're going to prep our dough ball. This recipe makes enough for 2, so we're going to cut it in half and save the other one for another day. Then you want to take your dough ball and kind of scrunch it all up together and then put it seam side down on a cutting board and roll around a bit. You want to try and get it into as tight a ball shape as possible. Then drop it seam side down in the pan and cover it in plastic wrap for an hour or so. In the meantime, we're going to get started on our sauce. We're using San Marzano tomatoes here because everybody says they're the best. Are they really? Who knows? But they're the most expensive. So empty them into the pot, and then we're going to use an immersion blender to blend them all together. Then add a pinch of salt, always a pinch of salt, and turn the heat up to medium. The main difference between pizza sauce and pasta sauce is not much, but usually pasta sauce is a lot more complex. You cook it for a really long time with lots of ingredients, where pizza sauce is quite simple. Sometimes it's just tomatoes and salt. Sometimes it's not even cooked. We're going to cook it a bit just to get rid of some of the excess water content. And after it's cooked down a bit, we're going to chop up some fresh basil leaves and throw those in there. And stir it around a bit. Next, we're going to preheat the oven, so turn on your oven as hot as it'll go. In my case, that's about 550. We're going to get grating on some cheese here. Make sure to freshly grate your own cheese. The pre-shredded stuff's no good, and it costs more, so you're paying a premium for worse stuff. If you've got a furry friend watching, make sure to throw him a bone. Then we're going to begin stretching out the dough across the bottom of the pan, which is comparable to butchering a chicken in that it's something that looks really easy when other people do it, but actually proves to be shockingly difficult. This thing just does not want to stretch out. So I'm going to cover it again and let it rest for a bit. That'll hopefully relax it somewhat. Alright, round 2. Let's just keep at it. Over time it will slowly stretch further and further. It'll get there eventually. Although it takes so long, I can't help but wonder if I screwed something up somewhere. Maybe it was the olive oil. Now we're gonna sauce our pie. The way to do it with this kind of pizza is for the sauce and the cheese to go all the way to the edge. So instead of a bready crust, you get a nice crispy caramelized cheese crust. My guide didn't specify toppings, so we're just gonna go with what we like. I got some sliced chorizo here on this one side, and for my wife's side, her favorite topping, pineapple. Yeah, she's one of those people. Once your oven's fully heated, pop it on the low rack so it gets nice and crispy on the bottom. In the meantime, we're going to make our hot chocolate, so put a kettle on. And of course, a good hot chocolate is not made of water alone, so we're going to use this here milk frother to make it much better. Now that the water and milk's all heated up, we just need a mug suitable for a last meal. Put a couple of TBSPs of your favorite hot chocolate mix in there, and then we're going to add just a little bit of water, just enough to mix it all together. Add a couple handfuls of mini marshmallows, and then we're going to top the rest off with our frothy milk. And of course, give it a stir. Back to the pizza. Halfway through cooking, flip it to the other side just because the backs of ovens are usually hotter than the fronts. After a total of 12 to 15 minutes or so, it should be just about done. Next, take a metal spatula and scrape around the outside, and then lift it up to check the bottom. If it's not quite as brown and crispy as you'd like, you can throw it on the stovetop burner for a few minutes. But this one's looking pretty good to me. I don't think I'm breaking any new ground here by saying that pizza is good. Even bad pizza is better than most other foods, and this is quite possibly the best pizza you can make at home without any specialized equipment. No need for a fancy pizza stone or a Neapolitan pizza oven or anything like that. Just a cast iron pan and a regular old oven. The hot chocolate was an odd choice, unless maybe he was saving it for dessert, but I probably would have went with the soda or something. Oh well. All in all, a really good last meal, obviously. A little pedestrian. I mean, I don't think I've gone a week of my life without eating pizza at least once, but that's how you know it's good, so I'm gonna have to give it a 7 out of 10.